Folks, what the crap's going on? Heir of Carthage here, and it has been a while since you've seen any action from the Satsuma Republic campaign in Total War Shogun 2 Fall of the Samurai. And I've been very busy, so I've been very limited on my ability to sit down and record like a long play video. And then there's also been a lot of news coming out, so I've been trying to cover that, and I've been trying to make sure I get my streams in. It's one of the few things that actually fits in my schedule right now. But I have been playing ahead a little bit because I feel like the campaign is just in a big-time grind, and that every episode is essentially me repeating the same few things. And so I was like, you know what, I'll play through some of this grind and get it to a more interesting position where I can go back on the offensive and have things just be a little more entertaining for you all as the viewer. And I happen to have a battle on Kyushu, so this is the Choshu Imperial Vanguard attacking one of my settlements on Kyushu that I'd taken, and my daimyo is here. And if the daimyo dies and this army falls, and let's get a look at him. This is my daimyo right there on this horse. So if my daimyo dies and this army falls, then the Choshu Imperial Vanguard will have a fairly open route to continue to push towards my homeland. So this battle was utterly critical for me to win. Like, I cannot allow the AI to take a victory here. And the Choshu Imperial Vanguard has a huge line of spear levy, some saber cavalry. They've got their own general here. They have a wooden cannon and an Armstrong gun. I deployed my Armstrong gun that's unfortunately not able to shoot at theirs immediately because it was being blocked, so I'm going to have to redeploy it. And then they have another huge line of troops over here, mostly just levy trash in this front army, but there's a whole second army of reinforcing troops coming in for the Choshu. You can see that some of those troops are starting to come in from down here. This includes White Bears, Kihatai. You can see more Kihatai, so elite infantry, as well as White Bear infantry, Imperial infantry, so not the best AI here in terms of the way it's controlled, and that's pretty normal for Total War Shogun 2. So essentially my men are going to have to put up an epic defense of this somewhat battered castle. The castle had already taken a few beatings and naval bombardments and other things, and so my daimyo is fighting for his life, fighting for his honor, and fighting for the defense of his home country. And this battle absolutely hinges on the success of the war. I am outnumbered at this point, probably close to 3-1. We'll look at the exact numbers at the end. And so despite the AI being rather atrocious in this game, which it is, look here, it's marching to try and gather up its forces while in the line of fire. My line infantry is, I'd say, pretty well chevroned and upgraded, but overmatched when it comes to just straight up shooting skill. With the White Bears and Kihatai, those units have significantly better accuracy, not to mention better morale. So it's going to be a tough fight. The one benefit I get is that my forces will be unbreakable when fighting in the castle. So I have to take this benefit and use it to its fullest. You can see the enemy here, the general just marching towards the gates while under fire. So the AI is in full suicide mode, just coming straight towards the walls. However, full suicide mode might work. If they all just assault at once, they could probably overrun me. However, the gates are already broken, and some of the forces for the AI will try and make for the gates rather than just climbing the walls and getting the maximum number of troops inside possible. But I shoot from the walls, and then I'm going to start falling back into a kill box position with my men. I do have one levy infantry here, but the rest of my troops inside here are line infantry with the kneel fire capability. So I'm basically just going to back them up. And you can see that as soon as the enemy troops come over the wall, it's going to be a short range kill box, and if any troops do make it into melee, it'll be somewhat limited. I'm using my general. I've done gun bate and inspire, so my men are going to be even better at fighting in melee. And I've got my Armstrong gun repositioned, and it's now returning fire onto the enemy Armstrong gun. Most of my troops were in very long, thin lines, which was preventing the enemy Armstrong gun from getting max effectiveness, and there was a tree blocking a few of the shots coming towards it, so I've been rather fortunate. Right here I did score some big hits and managed to get some damage done, so their Armstrong gun won't be firing for much longer, but I still have absolutely thousands of enemy troops to work my way through. I can't say enough or enough times how much the Warhammer series needs the smoke and fire effects. I mean, the matchlocks in this game just look better than they do in Warhammer or any of the newer Total War games, and I don't know why that is, and the smoke effects are better as well. So I would love to see these things come with a modern version, because it does make for some epic battles. I mean, just look as you zoom out, look at all the smoke wafting over the castle area. I mean, it is just incredible. So the enemy army is approaching. Unfortunately for me, they are slow marching because they are trying to conserve their stamina, which in this game is pretty important, and it can get worn out pretty quickly and takes a while to recover. So the enemy reinforcements are now coming in and trying to make their decision about where to assault the castle. This is the longest and deadliest climb, and I've also got this entire wall covered with good line infantry troops who are well chevroned and upgraded with extra accuracy. So you can see that the enemy is already paying a hefty toll for attacking from the side. But again, the numbers game still very much in favor of the AI. So I've got to continue to fight this fierce defense, and so far it's working. However, just by sheer numbers right here, this line infantry unit is starting to get beat up because the AI did get some white bears in, and these guys are in a point-blank firefight, just shooting at, maybe 5 yards here straight into each other. So I've got to bring reinforcements over and take that unit out and replace it, so that's what I've done here. I'll bring the new unit in and get it into Neil fire, and again, we're going to go into just an absolute point-blank firefight. I've got suppression fire as well, so this will help break the leadership of the enemy troops, which is important, whereas my leadership cannot be broken. And I have my general, I keep moving him behind this building to try and avoid stray shots killing him, because it's not just my general, it's my daimyo. I'm going to bring a line infantry unit in to replace this levy infantry, because the AI looks like it is going to start funneling towards this gate, thinking that the gate is its best option. But my men have definitely got a kill box set up that gate. I've got units covering multiple angles, and all of them are in Neil fire, which means I'll be getting maximum firepower, and the AI is going to be bunched up for minimum firepower. So it's really kind of a world of opposites right now. Not to mention my troops on the wall here continue to batter any enemy troops. I mean, just look at the carnage near this wall. There's a few more enemy troops trying to make their way around. I believe this is a Kihatai, which is an elite infantry unit. So they've taken an absolute battering, and you can just see the field of bodies here. Meanwhile, you can see just how many more troops are coming in, and despite the fact that I've gained so many victories, the power bar was still in favor of the AI. But if they continue to funnel in like this, I can control the situation. So sometimes you can put up an epic defense like this and follow the samurai just by being able to take advantage of having better firepower because of positioning. So in this case, positioning leaves the enemy with poorer firepower. They should have climbed the walls. It would have still been very brutal for them, but having everything funnel in is definitely even worse. But, even had they climbed the walls, there's a good chance that I win this, because as their troops come over the walls, they're getting shot in the face while they're trying to position. So sometimes you may see overwhelming odds, and you may be tempted to just click the auto-resolve and give up your settlement. But it doesn't have to be that way, and in some of the more modern Total War games, you can still pull off things like this, but this is especially true in Shogun 2 and in Fall of the Samurai because of the nature of the castles, where your units become unbreakable, and so sometimes you're able to pull off extremely epic victories with the support of a general, some good positioning, and just a couple of key units. You can put up some massive defenses. And then you couple that with the fact that the AI in this game is pretty atrocious, as it is in all older Total War games, and to be honest, in some newer Total War games as well. But it has gotten a lot better. I think sometimes we take for granted how much better it has gotten. And you can see the AI at this point just really starts to funnel in a lot of troops. And they've got this Kihatai, or I think that's Imperial Infantry actually, shooting my men on the walls in the back, because my men on the walls are shooting their men who are running up the ramp. And so this is just a desperate kill box. There's going to be smoke and blood and fire all over the place, and probably one of the most gruesome battles of this campaign up to this point. And at this point, with some suppressive fire and the enemy losses mounting, I mean, just look at the murder box that was going on right here. The pile of Choshu bodies as they're forced from the battlefield. And I gain a decisive victory. And it was a key victory. Let's go take a look at the numbers. So I will get you some campaign action soon. This is probably the biggest highlight. I've been playing ahead for about 5 or 6 turns, and I'm trying to get it to where it's not just me being bombarded by onesie fleets and retreating and fighting off samurai rebellions every turn, because that's been the whole campaign for like the last 3 episodes. And some of you all might like watching that, but at the same time, it's like, hey, so much of the same thing over and over again is just too much. Yeah, so we were outnumbered over 2-1. And so my general, Shimazu Hisamitsu, which was my daimyo, we can take a look at the unit statistics. He was able to come in victorious. Look at the kills here of my line infantry. So 395, 333, 316, 235, 226, 221, sharpshooters at 1. Even my levy picked up 124 kills. I guess one of my line infantry must not have seen a whole lot of action. But just amazing number of kills. And you can see the enemy... their Armstrong gun was their leader, which is not surprising. But after that, just very limited in the number of kills that they could get. So it was able to help swing the battle in our favor. So there you go, folks. That was defense for both honor and survival. And Shimazu Hisamitsu manages to keep the Satsuma safe and keep the hopes of their republic alive.